right, so in this case, we were pending sentencing in federal court. Has he already been sentenced?
He has been sentenced in federal court, Your Honor, and he's actually starting his federal time, and then we got picked up here. In conferring with him and in conferring with the state, my client, basically, we have a serious conflict of interest, and I'm filing an oral motion to withdraw. He wishes to hire an attorney. He does not wish to discuss with me the plea offer or any of the situation right now. And so I'm asking for an oral motion to withdraw and allow him to hire an attorney.
What's going on?
Do I have a second, Your Honor, to talk to you for a second, or is now not a good time?
Well, oh, it's always a good time. I'm here, you're here, your attorney's here. So what's the issue?
Well, Your Honor, I was arrested on these charges about 4 years ago, and at the time, I was, in deep drug addiction.
Wait, let me stop you right there. And let me just tell you, the reason why I'm stopping you, I'm not trying to be rude, but it sounds like you're about to stray into the facts of your case and what you're asking the court for to give you on these cases. So this is the way it works. Your attorney receives discovery. They receive all the discovery. I know with your case, you were in federal custody and there was nothing that this court could do. I can't force the federal government to release you back to a state court because there's a hierarchy. So once your attorney gets all of the discovery, then I require the state to make an offer. The state makes an offer to your attorney gives you the offer. And then you have a choice. Either you can accept the offer or reject the offer. You can say, this offer is ridiculous, which I discourage people from doing. We try to be polite to each other in court, but she has no choice ethically but to tender to you the offer that his state's been given. Now, sometimes people will have different backgrounds. People will say, my father went out for cigarettes, never came back home. My mom left me. I'm addicted to drugs. I have mental health issues, whatever your issues may be. Those issues, if they're not related to the facts of your case, usually that's what's called mitigation, which some people refer in layman's term, have sympathy for me. And this is why I want you to have sympathy for me, because my father left, never came back, all of these other things. That's completely separate, sort of, from the facts of your case. Now, that may be something that your attorney can use to negotiate with the state, but that's where we are. So your attorney wants to withdraw. So we're back to what the conflict is.
Your Honor, I just don't think she has my best interest in mind. I would like to hire an attorney.
All right. Do you have money to hire an attorney?
I would just need a little bit of time, maybe a couple of weeks or something to have my family or ask my family if they could get it together.
Is your family going to hire an attorney for you?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor.
All right. What we will do is we're going to come back in 2 weeks because the conflict sounds to me, you think your attorney maybe doesn't have your best interest at heart because you're not getting the offer you want. And if that's your conflict, that's not a conflict. That's just, she's telling you what the offer is and you're not in agreement with it.
No, Your Honor, that's not the whole reason. It's just I know I've asked a couple of questions and she doesn't really have any answers, and she's not like.
I don't understand.
I haven't even really had a chance to talk to her about anything.
Oh, well, here's the thing. You're here, she's here. Talk to her. There you go. Sit over in the box. She's here, you're here. Talk to her.
Yes, Your Honor. Thanks.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I have to go to another court right now.
What court is this?
CPS, they're waiting on me for a hearing right now.
All right, I'll call CPS court, but he wants to speak with you. He says he hasn't had a chance to speak with you.
Yes, ma'am, we have conferred, but yes, I'll continue.
All right, thank you. And which CPS court is it?
It's 307.
All right, Ms. Ferguson, could you call CPS court 307 and let them know Ms. Thorne is here and she'll be over there. Burley?
Burley.
Yes, and Judge Burley, and let her know she'll be over there shortly. You're welcome.
Thank you for yours, Your Honor.
All right, court is calling 2023 CR. Can you move them to the other end? 9163, State of Texas versus Denise Marie Thomas. Could I have parties announced for the record, please, for the state
Zach Dunn for the state.
defense?
Kimberly Bush for Denise Thomas.
And are you Ms. Thomas?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're here on a motion the defense has filed to modify, delete bond conditions. Defense, what are you requesting?
We are requesting that the no contact provision in this case between Amorie Thomas, the alleged victim, and Ms. Thomas, his mother, be changed to no hostile or injurious contact, and that contact be supervised by the maternal grandmother, Ms. Lily Thomas, who has been taking care of Amorie since this incident occurred. And Ms. Lily Thomas is here and prepared to testify as to why she would like that as well, if Your Honor would like to hear from her.
Of course, but what I will tell both parties, I've read the defense counsel's motion. I've just had a chance to read it since you've been talking to me. And if this is a child protective services case, one, the child's ad litem can appear by Zoom to say whatever she wishes to say, and I will hear her or him.
Your Honor, this level of contact is already allowed in the motion to participate case. Joe Bohawk is the ad litem. I spoke with him yesterday about it. We are set for a motion to participate, hopefully getting everything closed on Monday. That's the CPS workers' understanding and Mr. Bohawk.
All right, so I will tell you, sometimes Child Protective Services
I-
does things that I'm not in agreement with on these motions. Sometimes I've had Child Protective Services to say in a sex case that, yes, we want the accused to have contact with the complainant in a child sex case. I keep an open mind about everything. That's why I always tell them, you need to bring in, the child's ad litem needs to come. There needs to be a legal document saying this is what the judge on the civil side has ruled. Then I'll make a decision. But I will hear from all the witnesses you have here today, but it's not going to be enough for me to make a decision because one, I want a copy of the order that's been filed. And two, I want to speak to the child's ad litem if they're willing to come in. The reason why I do that is because the child's ad litem should be 100% looking out for the child's best interest. I know CPS workers are overworked and underpaid. So I'm not going to ask for the cost of volunteer if there's a cost of volunteer.
There is not.
So I just am going to need the child's ad litem as well.
Okay. As I said, we are set on Monday on that other case.
Mhm.
Would it be possible for Mr. Bohawk to appear by Zoom? I know he is heavily set with CPS cases. Yes, no,
Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry, it's just the logistics of getting all of those people.
Oh, I
Um,
know. When I did Child Protective Services cases,
No, I
it was at
remember.
least 5 attorneys on a case.
Well,
It's
this
like
is just a
herding cat.
motion. Yeah, this is just a motion to participate,
yes.
not a 262. So it's at least a little tiny bit lighter. Just to clarify, do you need the caseworker in person?
No, I mean, if you want to have a caseworker here, that's great.
The
They can
fewer
be,
people, the better, just for simplicity's sake.
all right. I understand that caseworkers are overworked, underpaid. And I don't want to take that caseworker away from going out to do their investigations. So if you can have the child's ad litem here,
Okay,
and I will need the document, the legal documents. It doesn't have to be certified for the court if the state doesn't have any objections to it not being certified.
okay.
A copy of that showing what that judge's ruling is in relationship to the child.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And I
Thank
think that will probably help the state come to whatever agreement you all may reach if they have that information as well.
Okay. At this time, would you like to hear from Ms. Lily Thomas? So she doesn't
Sure,
have to make another trip.
of course.
She does work during the
All right, let's bring her up.
I'll be here, ma'am. Mrs. Thomas?
Ms. Thomas, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank
All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so the court reporter can hear.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Lily Marie Thomas.
All right.
Good
Yes.
morning, Ms. Thomas. How are you today? Here, I'm asking you a
Oh,
question.
Okay.
Sorry. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine.
It's okay. Now Denise Thomas is your daughter, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you currently have her son Amorie living with you?
Yes, Maria.
Okay. How old is he?
He's 16.
Okay. You've worked with CPS on this case?
Yes, I have.
Okay. What is your position regarding Denise being able to see Amorie? And how do you think those visits should be structured?
Well, we could still, I'll be able to supervise her and him, make sure that things are still going the same way that it should be, as long as he's with me.
Okay. Would you want your husband, Brian, Denise's father, and the child's grandfather to be able to supervise as well?
Yes,
Okay.
we've been both doing it.
Okay. Is it a challenge for your family to have this barrier where Amorie and Denise can't be in the same room at the same time or in the same house at the same time? Has that been challenging in holidays and so forth?
Well, yes, because I have my other family and my other grandkids come, and then she has those others that we can go get, but then we all can come together as one.
And Denise is still currently taking care of her two younger children, correct?
Yes.
What are their names and ages?
AJ, which is Angel, he's 6, and Antonio, he'll be a year.
Okay. And have you had any concerns with their care?
No,
Okay.
I go by and that's just, feel fine.
And anything else you'd like to say to the court?
Yeah, I'm just trying to hold us together.
Okay, let me ask you one other thing. It's easy to say you'll supervise people. It's hard when a situation starts going badly because that's your daughter and that's your grandson and you want to love everybody in your family, but you don't want to have to necessarily tell your daughter no. Are you going to be able to do that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Have you had to, in the past, have you had to set boundaries with her or any of your other children?
No, just make sure that they're living the right way or trying to do what's right.
Okay, but if there's a problem, you
If
would
there's a
not be
problem,
afraid.
I would not be afraid to step in. I have not, never.
Okay, all right. That's all I have for this.
Any
witness, Your Honor.
questions?
No questions from the state.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just gonna sit down. Thank you for allowing that, Your Honor. I appreciate the indulgence.
Welcome. All right, so we're off the record. This is what I can tell you all. And this is why I want that child's attorneys here. She's charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, which is alleged to have been committed against the complainant that we now want to do supervised contact with. And yet Child Protective Services still has her with two younger children. That's why I want the ad litem here so I can see what's going on.
It's easy for me to think past that because I know these people and I've been involved in the case since the beginning. I appreciate where you're coming from and I appreciate the fact that you're looking out very diligently for the safety of this child and the safety of the community. I think you will find that CPS had reasons for what they did.
Okay.
And although I have a decades-long history of publicly disagreeing with CPS about almost everything, they're actually not wrong here.
Okay. So when
And
do you all,
they've done what they need to.
when do you think you'll be able to come back here with the ad litem, or is that something you want to?
All the parties will be here on Monday. We are set for a placement review and, well, the MTP follow-up hearing on Monday at 8:30. With your permission, I would like to bring him over here afterwards. I'll need to check with him. But at this point, it's my understanding that he's going to be here in person for that hearing.
All right, then it'll probably have to be at 1:30 because we'll be in a murder trial.
Okay,
All right. Or either if you all would like, perhaps Judge Nahara will be available to hear it, but otherwise back here at 1:30.
okay.
Yes.
I was-
Are you-
I was speaking with her.
Are you working?
No, ma'am. I'm working on scholarships for my oldest son that's about to graduate from Jefferson High School. But no, I'm just working on future planning for my kids. That's about it.
All right. All right, March 11th.
Ms. Thomas is a disabled veteran.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the court is calling 2023 CR 10327, State of Texas versus Andrew Garcia. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state,
For the state of Texas.
Alexandria Bogus.
for the defense?
Anton Hike for Mr. Garcia.
And are you Andrew Garcia?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you entered a plea to account for tampering with the government record. You entered a plea of guilty. The state waives counts 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. According to the plea bargaining agreement, punishment is to be assessed at 1 year in the state jail facility. The state recommends community supervision. They're opposing your application for deferred adjudication. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report in state
Yes, Judge, we have.
defense?
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, I've gone over my client, and given him a chance to read it at his own pace.
Any objections to the PSI report state
No objection, Judge.
defense?
No objection, Your Honor, though, it's kind of taken away that they said a taser was a weapon.
All right.
Well, it's not a deadly weapon.
All right. So state, you're opposed to his application for deferred adjudication?
Yes.
You may speak to that.
Yes, Judge. I would just like to briefly, in the stipulations, it is the investigator Trujillo outlined what this defendant did. I would just like to briefly go over that to give the court an idea of what happened.
All right. So just so everyone knows, I am here to listen to whatever you all want to present, but just know that on PSI reports, I've read the PSI report and I've always reread the stipulations that were entered, but you may proceed.
Yes, Judge. So this defendant took advantage of people who he was supposed to be supervising and training in the Bexar County Jail. He was the CERT deputy in charge of cadets and lockdown units with violent offenders, people with ag assaults, murder charges pending. At least 5 individuals claimed that this defendant tased them when they were not consenting to it, when they were not looking, and that he did it in front of inmates, which, jeopardizes the security of the jail and also does not help with the retention issues that the jail is having as well. At least 2 of the victims left after that they were tased because they didn't want to be part of that work environment. Some of them were tased on the arms, legs, back, stomach. Multiple people said they did not want to be tased. He did it anyways. There's evidence that after he tased them and that the victims would ask him, "Why'd you do that?" He would look at them and smile. Some of the people consented to being tased. However, it was under a type of duress. For example, one of the victims went to him asking for clippers so that they could cut the inmate's hair in another unit. And he said, "I'll give them to you if you let me tase you." I also reviewed the PSI, and in the PSI, I noticed that he said that he had been tased before. There's evidence that was uncovered throughout the investigation that he would, when the victims would say, "Hey man, why'd you do that to me? Have you ever been tased?" He would respond back with, "No, and I'm not gonna let anyone tase me." So I don't know which part of that is actually true. Judge, I just want to make it very clear that when these reports come out and when all this stuff is happening, they don't say Andrew Garcia was tasing people in the jail. They say a Bexar County Sheriff's deputy was tasing people. He has besmirched the badge of the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. This is supposed to be a controlled environment, and he added chaos to an already chaotic environment. By doing this in front of the inmates, it put not only him in jeopardy and the cadets, but also the other inmates. And it is his sole job in the jail to maintain the health and safety of the inmates who are there. this, you know, I'll leave you with this, Judge. It's the state's position that he needs to carry this conviction. When he was confronted about it, he put on a government record that he does not recall this ever happening. However, in the PSI, he says the reason he did it is because it was done to him. You know, the old saying, if all your friends jump off of a bridge, are you gonna do it too? And here it seems like he just went along with it and was tasing all these cadets. I just want to point out one of the individuals, this defendant is 6'10", 245 pounds, at least at the time when he was working there. One of the victims is 5'2" and 112 pounds. And he reported that he was held up against the wall physically, and that this defendant would not set him down, that he would put him into an arm bar in front of other inmates and tase him multiple times in front of other inmates. This was not a one-off time, Judge. If it was, I don't think the state would be having such an issue with deferred. It's the fact that we found out that this happened to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individuals. And the one individual he didn't tase, he would harass. So when he would go to start doing his checks on the inmates, this defendant would point the red dot at him, come up behind him and clack the taser while the cadet was just trying to do his job. Therefore, the state thinks that this defendant should carry a conviction because of the egregiousness and because he has besmirched the badge of the Bexar County Sheriff's Office.
Defense.
Besmirching the bad may be horrible, but it's not an offense. Mr. Garcia, do you realize what you did with all
Just
these?
1 second. If you're going to call him as a witness, I need to swear him in.
Please swear him in your.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Andrew Garcia.
All right, defense.
Thank you. And do you realize what you're accused of by tasing and harassing these cadets is not a proper work environment or training environment for them?
100%.
Okay. Have you learned from this not to do something like that?
100%. Yes.
Were you ever tased? Yes or no?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And is it part of training that everybody's going to get tased sooner or later? Is there normally a time when they get
At a
tased?
time and a place, yes.
Okay. And did you notice anything from the inmates reacting to your alleged misconduct?
I'm sorry?
Did you notice that any of the inmates took the fact that you may have tased somebody as something they could get away with more problems?
Mr. Anton, I do not recall tasing in front of inmates.
So, and this is your first offense,
Yes, sir.
correct? Okay.
Norma. Go ahead.
You're asking the judge to give you deferred adjudication on this, your first offense.
Yes, I am,
And you'll follow any conditions the court gives you to do?
of course.
Okay. Anything else you want to say real quickly?
I have a newborn baby. This is a first time offender. I do understand what I did was, wrong. I would not do it again. It's a mistake. I'm about to get married here in the next couple of weeks. I asked for, if you could on deferred, I would greatly appreciate it. Have done my lesson, Your Honor. And I would never, ever do anything like this again.
Any questions?
Any questions from the state?
Just a few questions. So your attorney asked you, you know that that's not a proper work environment, stuff to do in the work environment, correct? But you understand this is more than just some type of workplace harassment, that was criminal conduct you were doing,
Yes,
where you were housing people who have allegedly committed crimes.
correct.
So in fact, you were committing crimes in the jail.
Correct.
No further questions, Judge.
Nothing else, John?
All right. Mr. Garcia. The state decided to go on count 4 tampering with government records. They didn't go on counts 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, and 7. So when is your wedding?
We are actually going to marriage license to pick up the proper documents. And then whenever, I guess, they have their scheduling, we'll pick a date, but as soon as possible.
All right, the state is asking for you to have a conviction. If this were counts 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7, I would probably have no question about giving you a conviction. But however, you do need to be punished. And
Yes, ma'am.
punished is not just permanent surrender of your TCO license. So I'm going to give you a choice. I will give you 4 years deferred adjudication. With that, you're going into custody to the Bexar County Jail for 30 days. That's your punishment. Or I will give you a conviction. Which do you choose?
And the conviction, and, are you just giving regular probation? Is that what you're saying, Your
Yes.
Honor? You want the conviction?
The convictions, no jail time.
No, I mean, that's something you can discuss with your attorney. I will give you 4 years deferred adjudication. With 4 years deferred adjudication as part of your punishment, you're going to the Bexar County Jail today in handcuffs for 30 days, or you will have a guilty conviction on your record. Which do you choose?
The conviction.
And let me ask you this, since you're under oath, why don't you want to go to the Bexar County Jail?
I have a family to support. I am the only one that works within my family. My wife is focusing on her degree. And it's, I don't want to be in jail, Your Honor.
Well, the people you tased, they just wanted to, I'm assuming they were there to support their families as well. So why were you tasing people? And I don't want to hear, because how old are you?
24.
24. I don't want to hear this is like college and people are hazing people. I never understood why people who had been hazed decide to haze other people. So why were you tasing people at the jail who are just there? And I know those cadets are young because I've seen some of them. They're 18. Some of them look as though they're 12. So why were you tasing cadets?
Your Honor, it doesn't make it right. It's a thing that's going around.
Oh, you're saying there are other cadets there are other people at the, give me names. Who are the people who are tasing people at the jail?
Off the top of my head, Your Honor, it's been a while. I don't.
No, I'm thinking, who tased you? Give me a name. I'm sure the state would like to know these names. So who are the names of the people who were tasing you?
Your Honor, I do not remember.
Of course, you always remember the first person who tased you.
The first person who tased me was in proper training.
Oh, what's their name?
That was.
All of the complainants in this case remember you as tasing them. That's why you're here. So who tased you?
In proper training, it was Deputy Chavez.
No. Not in training, because you were not tasing people in training. I know that sometimes, and I don't know if it's still the case. I think it's not the case. They would tase officers in training so they would know this is the voltage of the taser. This is how it feels. Much like in the military, when they release the gas, so you'll know how to wear your mask properly. No, I'm talking about who tased you improperly, because that's why we're here. You're saying people hazed you, so you're just hazing people. So who are these people who tased you when you were not in training?
Your Honor, I do not remember names.
All right. So who else is tasing people at the jail and tasing cadets other than you? Because that's what you're telling people. You're telling me, you're telling the state, you're telling the attorney that there's tasing happening at the jail. I'm sure those cadets don't want to be tased if it's not in training. So who are these other people who are tasing cadets? We want to know. So tell me who they are. Do you need to sit in the box while you think of the names of the people?
Randall.
Can you remember any names at
I
all?
cannot remember any names.
Is there any reason why are you not intentionally not remembering names, correct?
No, I cannot remember.
Oh, I mean, if you want to sit in the box and think about the names, because you can't just throw around people are being tased at the jail by other people and then that's it. Who are these people who are tasing people? There's nothing worse. Well, there may be other things that are worse than people who say, well, I heard. But you're not saying I
I
heard.
heard, yes, ma'am.
You're saying, oh, now you're changing it to I heard.
I haven't seen someone get tased. I've heard of stories of people getting tased, and I just ran with that.
Oh, so he's never seen anybody tased. So now he's not just continuing the hazing that happened to him. He was just tasing people. Your unborn child, is this going to be a girl or a boy?
He's born 4 months old. He's a boy, yes, ma'am.
4 months old. So what if he decides to be a cadet at the jail and somebody like you who's 6'10", however much you weigh, is tasing him?
I would be unhappy with that.
How unhappy would you be?
Very unhappy. Very unhappy.
And how would you think the work environment would be for your son when they're constantly worried about some guy who's bigger than them tase them?
As a parent, I would not approve of that work environment, Your Honor.
Mhm. That's what you did. Some people would call it being a bully, but that's what you did.
Yes, ma'am.
So you deserve a conviction, and I'm going to give you a conviction. Is there anything else from either party?
No, Your Honor, nothing from the defense.
Nothing further from the state, Judge.
All right, where are you working?
Alamo Toyota.
I'm sorry? All
Alamo Toyota,
right, what do you do?
sales rep.
All right, court is going to sentence you to 1 year in the state jail facility, suspended and probated for 4 years. Proof of employment within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. Regular reporting. Oh, and if I haven't said it before, I'm finding you guilty. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. There's to be regular UAs. There's to be the permanent surrender of your TCOL license. And I know sometimes people will give up their TCOL license, but then they go to another state and they're allowed to become officers again. So while you're on this probation, there's to be no employment as a security officer, any field of employment which requires you to supervise others. Probation, is there any type of anti-bullying course for him? All right, you're going to take somebody's anti-bullying course so you can understand the impact that you have when you bully people.
Yes, ma'am.
There's to be no contact with any of the complainants. Probation, is there anything else? Oh, 200 hours of community service restitution. Court is not waiving any of those hours, and I'm going to require parenting classes. Probation, is there anything else? Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful?
Want the judge give you anything, help you at all? This is your time to ask.
Sir, is there anything else you need from the court to be successful on this probation?
No, no.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. I understand why you don't want to do your time at the Bexar County Jail. And you know what? I know it has to do with people in the box and security for you at the Bexar County Jail. So that heavy beating of your heart, that's the heavy beating that all of those cadets had whenever you were on shift. And you need to remember that. Do you understand?
Sure.
All right, good luck to you. Yes,
I apologize. You want field visits?
yes, field visits once a month for 3 months. All right, just have a seat. They'll go over conditions with you.
The seat.
Thank you,
Who's-
Judge. May I be excused?
Yes.
Thank you.
Who's here?